Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. This is Uneducated Sports Talk presenting college casual football talk. My boy Brian Wilkinson. Welcome back, baby. Hey, we're breaking down. This is week 10 that we recap week 10, and we're going to break down week 11 for you guys, man. And week 10, they call it a Survivor Saturday. You know, a lot of great games going on, especially marquee games. And the biggest one of all, LSU in Death Valley was hosting the Alabama Crimson Tide #1 versus #3 in the showdown of the SEC West. And we had one team pretty much show up. One and a half teams. It's still bad.
It was a good game for one half.
Yeah. 29-0 was the final score. And you can look at the score and be like, man, that kind of sucked. And I felt that way, but once in retrospective, once everything got together and I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Alabama's a great team. And they are tough, man. And they are dominant. And to come into your place and to do what they did, but at the same time, yes, they were dominant, but 29-0 and this standard for Alabama, I mean, that's saying a lot for LSU, saying how good LSU is as well. But I just want to hear about your takes on the Bama-LSU game. Tell me how you feel.
So coming into this game, this offense for Alabama was averaging 59 points a game. 59 points a game. So just to put some perspective on the defensive performance that LSU gave out this weekend, They held them to half of that. Anytime you hold a team to half of their average PPG, you could almost expect to win that game.
Right.
It's a little different in this scenario. The problem with this game in particular was just that LSU's offensive line is not up to par. LSU's defensive line was getting after Tua and making him uncomfortable in the pocket all game long, like I thought was going to be something that was going to happen. He ended up throwing his first interception of the season in this game. But likewise, on the other side, Quentin Williams just absolutely demolished and dismantled LSU's offensive line. It wasn't even close. Joe Burrow had no time to even find an open receiver, much less try to make a read, which is the aspect of his game that he really, 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 really needs to work on this offseason. If he could have looked on the backside of some of those plays and a couple of those routes, not that he had a lot of time in that particular game, because it's something that's kind of been plaguing him through this first half of the season, is that he tends to lock onto a guy and throw that ball, whether it's one-on-one or double or triple coverage even, he'll just throw that ball in there. And it's worked out for him a lot of times. Backfired on him big time in this game.
Yeah.
And LSU's offense was just non-existent.
That was what I was scared of. I wasn't so worried, even with Devin White's first half absence. I wasn't worried about LSU's defense. I mean, to hold them 16-0 and to not, 16-0 against Bama at halftime, that's a credit to your defense, because we all know what Bama's scoring, like you said, 58, 59 points per game. My thing was LSU's offense. If they can get anything going on, they might have a chance. But I always know if it's LSU, big-time game against Bama, offense is not going to show up. That what makes Tim Tebow, Deshaun Watson, Johnny Manziel, those guys are special, because their ability to create something out of nothing is what kills Alabama. You know, when everything is done, you 100% defense every position on that field. But one thing you can't defense is the scramble ability or the ability to make something out of nothing from a quarterback. And LSU just tends to not find that quarterback year after year after year. You have all the pieces surrounding you, but the quarterback. And my fear was, yes, the O-line did play pretty bad. And number 92 for Bama was just a beast, and he was in the backfield every second. But you kind of figured, man, you had that guy with that scramble ability to also, make plays, because you can't defense a scramble. You can do the drills all you can all day, but you can't have a defense for that, particular skill set for a quarterback. So my problem was LSU's offense versus Bama's defense. Did I think they were going to score 0? No. But I thought the most LSU could score in this game was 14. That was the most, outside my score being 27-14, my pick. But I just thought, even if you score 14 points, you gotta have Bama score 13 to win. As that's just tough in my head. So I figured that LSU would have a tough game. And hell, they still played a good game. 29, even though 29-0 is a sucky score, it was still the best team that Bama's faced. and the most scrutiny Bama's gotten from their offensive side. Tua did throw his first interception. It only took 8 games to do it,
Yeah.
but and he had to actually play into the second half on a kind of a gimp knee. So that was kind of crazy to see that go on too. We almost had not a Jalen Hurts signing because Jalen Hurts
No, he did not play in that game.
but I forgot the third string
I
quarterback.
don't remember the man's name.
But he came in there for a play or two, and I thought that might be a game changer for half a second.
Which was also unfortunate because he botched the snap on Alabama's first extra point.
Yeah.
Which
yes.
Sort of after that happened, you kind of thought, okay, LSU could get some momentum going.
Thank you.
And it just never materialized. The offense.
Never.
They made a couple of plays here and there, but they couldn't get anything going and put any real drives together. Couldn't get in the end zone.
Well, Bama stays undefeated. LSU suffers their second loss, but it didn't really hurt them that much. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's get to the other games for Week 10 that happened. We have Penn State versus Michigan in Michigan, and Michigan routed those guys.
What a shocker.
42-7. Now, Penn State is a totally different team.
Shocker.
We talked about that last year, that Penn State was a different team from this year. But my God, even though you're different, I mean, they put up a fight against Ohio State and lost, right?
I did not foresee them
42-7, and from the start,
and it was never close.
From the start, it was never close. Michigan, outside of that one great loss that we got, this team looks like one of their defense is amazing.
Defense is absolutely.
They play the type of defense, and I don't want to sound too crazy, but they play the type of defense Alabama plays. Suffocate. Their players get after it from the D-line perspective. Linebackers, their front seven is amazing, man. I'm seeing that time after time. It's funny how Jim Harbaugh was going to get fired. Now he's good. Now his brother John Harbaugh in the NFL is probably going to get fired soon too because of the way the Ravens are playing. But a big win for Michigan, and that really boosted them up. Another victory against a ranked team, and they're looking like they're firing all cylinders at the right time. Your thoughts on Michigan?
That was the most complete performance I've seen from Michigan all season long. It's probably the best performance I've seen from John Harbaugh's squad since he's been back in the collegiate ranks at Michigan. It's probably the best all-around game they've put together.
I can understand that, yes, sir. Georgia visited Kentucky and beat them 34-17. You had a rank. Basically, Kentucky was 9 at the time, and Georgia was 7 or 6.
6.
One of them. But Georgia goes on there, and I think we agreed that
we did agree Georgia was going to win.
Georgia wins at 34-17. Kentucky, maybe just because they're new to the top 10, that just didn't feel right for me in football. But I was like, those guys aren't going to make it. But SEC bias that they have. They didn't really hurt Kentucky. We'll talk about that in just a minute as well, along with LSU too. So Georgia goes in and basically handles business like I thought they would, and they win 34-17. But with that top 10 defeat, that boosts up Georgia. So yes. We'll see about that. Next game was our game of the week. It was West Virginia versus Texas.
What was the game?
The craziest game, and it was actually the game of the week. Everyone thought of LSU and Bama. Well, the game before that, West Virginia versus Texas. In Texas, that was a game for the ages, with West Virginia winning it at basically, I can say regulation, but winning it 42-41 over Texas by getting a 2-point conversion at the end. The call, did you love it? How did you feel about it?
I love this call. I don't like playing for a tie.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are no good time mechanics in any major sports. I don't care what it is. The best time mechanic there is a draw. And nobody likes a draw. There's no good way to settle a tie game. So I like the go for it call because, in all likelihood, and what you saw happen was more often than not, you're actually going to convert that 2-point attempt.
Yeah, I don't know what
more often than not. So, and if you're talking about playing for overtime where anything can happen and nobody really knows how that's going to go, I always personally feel like it's better to just decide it at the end of the game. Either we got it in and we were the winning team, or we didn't and we were the losing team.
Because it's one of those, if it's good, it was a great call.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, it's a horrible call. But I do like for the fact that West Virginia was on the road. And the coach is like, I love my team, but our chances in overtime are slim to none. You're playing at home. You're playing on the road. And I like the call just because you're the road team and you don't have the crowd on your back. So might as well get it over right now. right? And he could be saying, like, at the same time, you got a lot to prove, but at the same time, you don't have that much to prove. You're still West Virginia. Although this win catapults you to the top 10, but at the same time, how likely are you going to the championship? That kind of things. Let's just wing it. Let's do it. I guarantee you, if they're at home, it's a different story. Different story. But on the road, I love the call. And the big news about Greer doing the hook 'em down. Oh man, come on, man. Tom Herman, he was not a fan of that. I'm like, what are you worried about? Stop the man there.
Yeah.
How about you play defense before you start criticizing him doing? And he said the pose he made before he scored a touchdown, like throwing the ball out there. What? Everyone does it.
That's football.
That's football.
That's football.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I did not like that. It's kind of
always love. Honestly, it's funny. I love thinking back in the early 2000s when people were doing the call Baton Rouge, Tebow and company, and everybody got mad about that.
Yeah, I know. Let the kids have fun. It was a big play, and you only play college sports for one time in your life period. You know, that kind of let it happen. Play defense and do better on that. Then you want to complain about it. That's what I say about that. So huge win for West Virginia. Texas, well, we all knew they were out from their last week's loss, but this loss, definitely they're out now. But West Virginia, man, if they can get on the road, they could probably play Oklahoma twice in an 8-day span.
They pretty much solidified that.
That's pretty much what's going to happen. It's pretty much Oklahoma and West Virginia, barring catastrophes from either team. But it's looking like they're going to play 2 games in 8 days.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love both those games. So I'm excited for that. West Virginia's put themselves in a great situation. And, another team that's hot that no one's talking about, Purdue beat Iowa. And I know
what a Cinderella story.
They're 5-4, but man, like they beating some hella teams, right?
They beat everybody that's ranked and they lose to everybody that's not ranked. Purdue's 3-0 versus ranked squads this year. That's crazy.
Boston College, Ohio State, and now Iowa.
And not just they beat them all too.
Yeah.
Boston College, when they beat them at the time, was ranked 23. Then they jump up to Ohio State, ranked number 2, and absolutely destroyed them. Iowa ranked right there in the middle of the pack at 16. So they showed they can beat anybody.
They can play, and
they can also lose to anybody.
Purdue's gonna play spoilers towards the end. They're gonna play spoilers. They're gonna be in every game. That's what I like about them. They're tough.
All of a sudden, that Western Division of the Pac-10 is wide open, or the Big Ten is wide open.
Wide open. So I'm excited for Purdue, and I'm excited for the next couple of years. They have a great squad, a lot of young guys on their team too. So they'll be talked about for the next couple of years in that program. So I'm excited about that. That's our Week 10 recap. Let's go to our Week 11 preview. Not a lot of crazy games, but one of the marquee games is going to be Ohio State going into Michigan State. Before that, let's break down the top 10. We'll give y'all 12, just be on the safe side. We all know Bama is number 1. Clemson is number 2. Those are 2 obvious ones we got. Notre Dame is number 3. We got Michigan at 4. Georgia's at 5, and that's going to be the tough one, Michigan and Georgia. Everyone's going to talk about the end if they all go and have one game. Well, a lot of things got to go crazy happen, but those 2 teams are very eerily similar. And 4 and 5. So Oklahoma at number 6, LSU at number 7, which was for me like wow. But let's talk about that in just a minute. Washington State at 8 with the win over California. We have West Virginia at number 9 with their big win over Texas in Texas. Ohio State at 10, and to help you guys out with 11 and 12, we have Kentucky, who didn't go that much further down to number 11. And then we had your boys UCF, who are probably going to be stuck at 12 for the rest of the year. They'll probably be 12 for the rest of the year, but they have a great schedule that could bump them up. If you're UCF, the worst case scenario, you go to the New Year's Bowl.
And you get to beat another SEC
and then maybe you beat another SEC team, which could be, you probably looking at
LSU or Kentucky.
It could be LSU, Kentucky, Georgia.
Could be Georgia.
Or depending on Bama, but Bama's like, no. But anyway, how do you feel about that top 10?
I thought this particular ranking just says a lot about the committee. I definitely thought LSU was going to be the highest ranked 2-loss team in the rankings for sure, just given the body of work in their schedule.
Yeah.
And the fact that losing to Alabama really doesn't count as a loss on the committee's eyes. When you're talking about, it still goes down on the stat sheet as an L, and you're still 7-2, but you're more like when you're talking about the committee, it's more like 7-1 and asterisk.
Yeah, there you go.
So I thought personally they would still be in the top 10. I thought they might be 9 or 10-ish. I didn't think there was too many other teams you could justify being ahead of them. But 7, I was surprised.
I'm surprised. Yes, but that much surprised, no, because you look at other teams. I mean, I thought West Virginia was going to get that bump for playing against Texas in Texas and winning that game the way they did. I thought they were getting that bump up to like 7. I thought we'll see LSU at 9. I thought LSU would go 9.
Yeah.
I thought
so
it was
we're kind of
fitting
in the
for
same
them.
area there.
Yeah. I just figured, but. Like LSU and Kentucky.
Schedule.
Kentucky only goes down 2 spots after losing to Georgia, which is a great team in Georgia, and they are number 5. But I'm just like Kentucky.
Most definitely.
They're not even supposed to be in it for the jump, in my opinion. But it's the SEC bias.
Most definitely, they lost to the best 2 teams in the SEC for sure. Each squad on their respective side.
Yeah.
The SEC championship has basically been set. It's going to be Alabama and Georgia, barring any strange machinations there. Auburn did beat both of those schools last year. This exact scenario played out, and Auburn won both of those games last year. But barring any kind of weird stuff like that, it'll be Georgia versus Alabama in SEC championship.
Let's go out there. 1-loss Michigan versus a 1-loss Georgia. To decide it, man. Who are you going with? If they
in that scenario, it doesn't matter because that means Georgia beat Alabama.
Okay.
Georgia's in.
There you go.
The harder question there would be 1-loss Alabama or 1-loss Michigan, because Michigan would be a conference champion.
Because it's tough, because I was hearing a conversation just a couple of days ago. They're like, hey, what if Bama does go on with that 1 loss? Because Bama really can't afford a loss, even though we're acting like, no, they really can't. As long as people stay winning, they can't afford a loss. But I'm like I think Bama can't afford a loss regardless. They're gonna, you give Bama that 1 loss.
So you think if Georgia wins the SEC championship, Alabama still gets in?
Bama's still in it. Depending if they get blown out, probably not. But if it's a tight game, they still lose by 2 touchdown score, maybe 17 points at the most. Bama's in it regardless. So I'm gonna say if that happens, you're gonna see 2 SEC teams again, which a committee. I'm kind of hoping for that. Because you get 2 SEC teams in, guess what?
Back-to-back years.
Back-to-back years, guess what? You're going with 8 teams next year. Yeah. After that, you got to go 8 teams. You're like, we can't be having 4 squads and every year is 2 SEC teams. All the SEC unbiased.
There are only 2 years left on this contract.
Yeah, so you're rooting for them for 2 SEC teams, or that's only I believe the only conference that will have 2 teams in it if it does go down.
I think so.
Yeah, so. You're rooting for that if you want an 8-team playoff. I'm kind of rooting for that for Georgia and Bama to both get in.
If you're a Michigan fan, you're not rooting.
Yeah, you're not. No, you're not.
If you're a Michigan fan, you're rooting for Alabama to win the SEC.
Not one bit, man. So I'm very Kentucky's schedule. I gotta look at their schedule, but I'm like, if they can somehow win out, they're still not going to the SEC. Championship unless they get a couple more losses from Georgia, and I don't see that happening. So I'm wondering why they're even still in the top 12. But West Virginia was my bummer. I was like, I wanted that great win, but can you imagine what happened if that game against North Carolina State doesn't get canceled for the Hurricanes?
It would be an interesting.
If they have won that game, and North Carolina State did lose just yesterday to Wake Forest, 27-23. So,
but they were ranked as high as 14.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that was going to be another solid top 25 win.
Regardless if they're ranked, though, I'm not ranked, but it's still another Power 5 decent team, ACC team that you have beaten. Maybe it's a blessing. They probably would have lost that game. You never know. But with that being said, that is tough. So let's break down week 11 before we get out of here. Ohio State visits Michigan State. You got Ohio State number 10. They're hanging in by a thread after that. A bad win against Nebraska. You were 36-31, and a win that you had to scratch and claw just to keep the lead. Not only losing at one point, but once you got the lead, it wasn't safe. And Ohio State is just going down the tank. It's just not looking good for them anymore. And it's crazy because they only had that 1 loss. They had their 1 loss, but every game they played has been like a head scratcher. Yeah. Exactly. Must win for Ohio State against Michigan State.
Must win, absolutely. I'm even going to go out on a limb and say, though, that I think this is going to be John Harbaugh's year. I think Ohio State where Michigan took that early loss at the beginning of the season and has gotten better every week since, Ohio State was good those first 4 games, lost to Purdue, and they've absolutely lost control.
Yeah.
And I think Michigan wins the big rivalry game at the end of the year, and I think Michigan goes on to win the Big Ten, actually.
Hey, there you go. Who you got winning, Michigan State or Ohio State?
I do have Ohio State winning this one.
I have Michigan State, so that's going to be our game of the week. Team Vita versus Team Silos. I'm going with the Spartans. I just don't trust Ohio State. Now they can go out there and do what they want to do. So if you're an Ohio State fan, you're probably happy right now that I'm going because I'm just sucking with these picks, man. But I think Michigan State ain't got nothing to lose, man. Just go out there, play ball, play spoiler. I think they go out there and win. So we'll see. But Ohio State has to get it going. They got to win, and not just win, but I think they got to win by at least 2 or 3 touchdowns to get the committee's eyes back open. Because with Michigan being over there, still looking like the best team in the conference, you got to win games big now. Our next game on the docket, Mississippi State versus Alabama. Should we say anything else about this? Nah, Bama's going to destroy them, man. Next, for Auburn versus Georgia. That game we can talk about. Georgia number 5, Auburn number 24. That's going to be interesting. I think Auburn's going to play Georgia tough.
They will. I think you can see another Texas A&M Auburn game this week with Georgia as the opponent. It will be between the hedges. Auburn will be the road team this time around, but Auburn seems to be able to play up to the better competition, and Georgia's still. Jake Fromm looked much better he's looked much improved the last 2 weeks since that loss to LSU.
Yeah.
But you just don't still quite know. Georgia's a good team. You don't know if they're a great team.
Yeah.
This would be a game, go out, win this by 3 touchdowns, you're a great team.
You do that, you basically just solidified yourself to represent the SEC East. And you just solidified it. So that would be a huge game on the docket. And then we have our night game pretty much is Boston College is hosting Clemson, and Boston College being ranked, I think they're 17, right?
They are 17.
And Clemson's number 2. This game could be very, very interesting because I always say that Bama and Clemson are the only 2 teams that can afford 1 loss and still make it. They're the ones. Is this going to be the loss for Clemson, or do you think Clemson takes control?
I think Clemson takes control of this game. I think Trevor Lawrence just looks lights out.
2020, he'll be the 2020, not Tua, it'll be Trevor Lawrence, 2020, first overall pick. Not Tua.
You heard it here first, folks.
I'm telling you, Trevor Lawrence is a bad man. Look, his first throw in college football, I was in my hotel room watching the game, and I saw his first throw, and it was on the money for like a 70-yard touchdown. I was like, that kid, right there, I was like, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick in 2 years. I can just smell it, Maybe it's 2021 he might be, so Tua might be safe. But he's probably going on 2021. But I think I'm with you. I think Clemson dominates this game. Dominates it. I mean, crowds on hush mode 10 minutes into the first quarter, probably down by 17.
Not to say that BC is a bad squad. They've been a good squad this year. Clemson is just that good.
Clemson needed a quarterback who's a dynamic quarterback. He's not dynamic from the legs like Deshaun Watson is, but boy, can he throw the ball. He can throw that ball, and they have so many pieces. They are the one threat, and I've been saying this for the last 4 weeks. They're the one threat to Bama, pretty much. The one threat that you're like, if they face each other out of 10 times, they could probably get Bama 4 of those times. You know what I'm saying? And that's a threat. Just saying that's a threat to them. So, but we're both all agreeing with that. Boston College, I think, is hammered in this game. And ACC, all that ACC bias. There's a lot of ACC bias, too. The Big Ten isn't getting that much love in these top 25 polls, but SEC, ACC are both getting mad love from the voters right now. So we're excited about this. Not the best weekend, but it's still some good games that can change the fate of certain teams. So anything else you want to go out before we leave?
Just be careful with Notre Dame. Again, if all of these scenarios are assuming that Notre Dame wins out the rest of their schedule, but Northwestern had them at the halftime of that game.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame fans, watch out. Because if Notre Dame loses, some crazy thing, Michigan can get in, and so can Alabama and Georgia at the same time in the top 4 if Notre Dame loses. some weird things can happen if Notre Dame loses.
Yeah, that out of the top 4, Notre Dame cannot afford a loss. They can't. One, their schedule is Poochie's with the end, so if they lose to one of those teams, you're just done for the season. So Notre Dame is playing like we cannot lose a game, and I'm scared if I see Notre Dame in there, say they do get in and play against Clemson, I just see Clemson just destroying them. You know, or they go number 4 and play against Bama.
It'd be better for Notre Dame to play Clemson than Alabama.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think it would be.
I would love to see Michigan versus Bama. That's
I think that would be the matchup that would work best in the committee's favor in terms of you're thinking about having entertainment value for the
first round
for the viewers, and in the first round. Not to mention Shea Patterson transferred from Ole Miss, where Ole Miss had beaten Alabama. They were the last team to beat Alabama in the SEC.
Yep.
And he was there for that. So that, throws a whole other spin on things.
I would love to see Michigan versus Alabama, but I mean, we're still
long way
away from it, man. Long way. The first week of December, we will find who's the top 4 here. So that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. That was our Week 10 recap, our Week 11 preview of the college football season. For Brian Wilkinson, I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and this is College Casual Football Talk, hosted by Uneducated Sports Talk. That being said, all sports fans, you guys know what time it is. Like, subscribe, stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace. And we out.